Greetings, Boogie fans! Zack Attack here, and today we're going to be going over our final 4 games that were played in the PTL Season 2. And, it was an interesting final 4 weeks because there were a lot of ups and downs, primarily downs, but there were a lot, and I didn't make, spoiler alert, didn't make playoffs, but it was supposed to be a revenge tour, a tour where I was supposed to collect my playoff berth. Yeah, that didn't happen. And we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go through our last 4 weeks and find out what went wrong and what I could have done better to make sure that happened. Of course, some things are just beyond your control. But let's go ahead and let's break it down a little bit. I'm curious to see what I could have done better. So let's go ahead and start with week 5. And that was against McDonald's guy. And his team, which, maybe I should have picked up D-Speed before he did, but we're not going to worry about it. He had a very interesting team. I think his team wasn't terrible, but into a matchup into me, it was god-awful. And his scariest 2 Pokemon were Blood Moon Ursaluna and Tornadus Therian. Sure, he had a Urshifu, but it wasn't. But he didn't click Surging Strikes when he was supposed to, so worked out for me. Basically, what had happened in that battle was we both led off with our rock leads, and my Zapdos was able to chip down his Bronzong to the point of no return. So much so that he had to switch into his Blood Moon Ursaluna, and thankfully was Assault Vest, not Keyberry. Of course, Fezzy was run special. Even with the Assault Vest, its special defense still isn't as worrying as its physical defense. It's kind of like in our Chalion situation, where an Assault Vest helps it, but without its depth investment, it doesn't really save it. So I was able to set up a few Calm Minds, almost dying to a crit, but we're not going to worry about it. And he was able to keep his Blood Moon healthy, because I didn't really get a hit off on it, except for the one Heat Wave and the U-turn for my Zapdos. So it was still pretty healthy. He goes into Tornadus, and I failed to predict the U-turn, which I guess U-turn was always his play. It was always to try to force me out, which worked out for him, but it also allowed me to get my Archaludon a defense boost to weaken the Blood Moon Ursaluna, which thankfully happens. He lets me have Blood Moon with Greninja. I get a Battle Bond. I get big damage off on Tornadus, and then die to an E-Speed from Dio. Of course, with that, it was time for Iron Valiant to hit the field. And this is where things snowballed for him, because in the wrong direction, because Iron Valiant got the remaining 4 kills. And it was great. Okay, one of those with the Life Orb kill from Dio, which didn't count towards Iron Valiant standings, but should have. I always count those, even if they aren't direct kills. I always count those. So, yeah. Do I like it? No. Is it a rule? Yes. Anyways, so that happened. That was great. I won that game. Everything was going well. And then Brett week 6. This game I could have won, Because I was playing my absolute arse off the first few turns. Sure, he kills Kramer with a crit, which, by the way, I did the calc. That crit did matter. But my Archaludon snowballed 2 of his Pokemon. And then he brings in Clefable. And this is where I made the first of 2 misplays. The first misplay I made is I should have swapped in Fezzy onto a very obvious Moonblast, because without an Assault Vest, because I was powered that week for Electroshot, if I had just swapped there, if I had just straight up swapped there, I think I would have been fine. Because Archaludon walls both Grafaiai and Hitmontop. And maybe Palafin if he gets a few Fizz Death boost. Because I was Fizz Death out of my mind. So, was that baiting with a Drain Punch? Sure. Would it have mattered after a few Fizz Deaths? No. But yeah, that was a blunder on my part. And then I tear it in front of Clefable with my Fezzy after I let Archaludon go down, thinking he was going to go into Grafaiai and make a Predict. Also a big blunder on my part, because now that means I was weak to Palafin. So, yeah, I kind of messed up myself with that one. Anyways, and then Palafin just kind of snowballed me from there. I couldn't do anything because my Iron Mountain's attack booster that week, specifically because I knew that my speed tiers were way too good into him. He had to bring a Scarfmon, and Scarfmon was Grafaiai. Go figure. But yeah, I just cooked myself with that one. I blundered severely. Yeah, that one was on me. But I don't think my prep was bad. I just played poorly in front of the Clefable, and that's what costed me. I still think I won, though. I still think I won if I preserved HL, despite him only being at half health. I still think I won, though. Definitely. I just had to get rid of either Hitmontop or Grafaiai before Greninja could do anything. Remotely. Anything. So, because Palafin was weakened at that point. So, definitely could have gotten something in. Definitely, for sure. Week 7 was against Void, and this probably was one of my favorite games. When it comes down to the wire, very long games. I've had a few long games before. If you've seen my stuff, you know that there have been some games that just go on forever and ever and ever. Week 6 of the MDL was one of them against Zachmander, which I also won 1-0. But that was just me being evil. All right, that was just me being evil. We're not gonna worry about that one. Anyways, back to Void. Anyways, so we both lit our Scarfmons, but since he was modest on his Typhlosion, I outsped for some reason. And he didn't switch out. He didn't switch out. It's called speed creeping, people. It's called speed creeping. You always gotta make sure you're speed creeping your Pokemon properly, because if you don't, someone's Espeon might outspeed your Meowscarada, and that's just something that you don't want to do. Anyways, so that was fun. And then I had to go into my bridge, because my bridge is the only one that can take an eruption to the face, which it does, thankfully, but it gets so chipped down in the process and doesn't even kill a body press in return. I'm like, ugh. And then he goes on into his hat, and I'm like, okay, you stupid beep. This guy shows the eject button, and I'm like, oh, that works out for me. Goes into Rillaboom. I have a Drain Punch for some reason. He takes a +3 body press to the dome. I go on the Talonflame to preserve it as a sack because I know a Drain Punch is coming. Like, I'm not stupid. I try to get a Flame Body. That doesn't work out. I U-turn in his face, going back into my laners. He's in the Heatran. He thinks I'm going to U-turn. I stop and Tantrum. You are a dead mother flipper. All right? Let me cook in this. Let me cook. All right? Let me cook up in this mother. All right? Anyways. So yeah, now he has to bring in Lapras, because Lapras is the bulkiest Mon this guy has. Literally. That thing is so ripped. I had to bring in my Archalion to sack it off. Then, I didn't know what I was going to do, because... So I had to bring in my Landrosa and try to hit the Stone Edge, because if I don't hit the Stone Edge, I'm cooked. Thankfully, I hit it. And then he Ice Shards me, and I'm thinking, okay, he's going to Ice Shard me again for the kill. I gotta get on out of here. But clearly, he thought the same thing. He switches out too. He goes into Hat. I go into Treebee. Now, I don't know if it's Sludge Wave kills. I don't know, because Hatterene's special bulk is pretty good. If anything, I probably should have clicked it. Because if I clicked it, what I could have done is I could have chipped it down, potentially got a poison. I know it's a 20% chance, but we know all how I ate with my 10% chances. Okay, it's kind of a mixed bag, because I either get a freeze on an Enamorus or miss a Rock Slide on a Volcarona. It's really weird. ODL reference, by the way. Yeah, that was something. That game was so Haxfield, I swear to God. I don't know how I won that. Anyways, so yeah, he raids me. I probably should Sludge Wave there, probably, because he Trick Roomed. I have no idea what Void does. Okay? I have no idea how he cooks. I didn't want to risk it. I had done 0 scouting on this guy. 0 scouting. I was like, okay. What could go wrong? Because he's Trick Roomed out. Because she's Trick Roomed out of his mind. I just brought in my Talonflame. Thinking that, okay, he's going to have probably Misty Fire. He's probably going to have Draining Kiss. Maybe Calm Mind. What can he do to hit me? Bro, Rib Touch Side Shock. And I'm like, okay, well. And my Flamethrower only like 25%. I'm like, well, I am trying here. And then I have to sack it off because I can't do anything. I got to bring in my Landorus, which, with the Restoration gone, EQ is free. I can get the kill. And then with the thing wore off, since it wore off, the Trick Room, I can now bring in Treebee back in, because I've stalled all in the Trick Room at this point, and I can kill something with the Sludge Wave. He's not going to bring in Revavroom on this thing. I know that for a fact. He brings in Lapras. Gives me Lapras. Then he brings in Revavroom. And I'm like, okay. So clearly, this guy is going to try and force me out. I thought he was going to bring in Rillaboom. Trying to force me out with Grassy Glide, which he would have done, because I'm not risking a Grassy Glide to the face. Because I wanted Treebee for later, mainly for Hat, if I could prevent it from getting up a Trick Room. Which was not going to happen. And now with my Talonflame dead, I have no way to stop a Shift Gear. So I'm like, I gotta predict this Terra. Because it shouldn't be Terra Fairy. Yeah, I got a lot of Fairy Weak Pokemon, but you also gotta because you also know that Zapdos and Fezzy are Pokemon that can come. You gotta prep for those. That thing is gonna be either Terra Water or it's gonna be Terra Steel. I have no idea what I was cooking, but I wanted to predict Water because Water is what I face most in mocks. So instead of Surfing, I clicked Dark Pulse. Surf would have killed. Do I know if Red Card pops after a kill? It probably does, I'm going to be honest. But I didn't know. And I still don't know, to be honest. Maybe someone in the comment section can tell me. But I clicked Dark Pulse. It didn't kill. I got red carded. And I'm like, well, because he parting shots. So whatever comes in is getting parting shot to the face. And it's Iron Valley, and I'm cooked. Thankfully, it was Bubby. But takes a parting shot. He goes back into Hatterene. I have to sack off Treevee. There's nothing I can do. Because I got a Terra. If I would have known he had Misty Fire beforehand, if he would have shown that, I would have been fine staying in there and not risking Treevee. Because Treevee still could have been good if Bubby died after Trick Room was already used up. Because Sludge Wave would have been super free. And then I could have gotten the kill on Hatterene, and even if you go into River Room, you can't kill me with anything. And if you go into Rillaboom, well, you might kill me, but you take a lot of damage, and then Iron Valley outspeeds everything, and it cleans you up. So it's like, what do you want me to do? So I probably should have left Bubby in, but I didn't, and I let Treevee go. Wasn't a good idea. But in the Nattering, and I won, so who cares? But that stall fest with Bubby and Hatterene will go down as one of the craziest moments in history. In my history, anyways. That was insane. I told you guys before we started this that Bubby was going to pop off. I told you it was going to happen. Didn't think it was going to wait until week 7, but it still happened. And then, of course, the final week 8, the trap game against New. Had to win 3-0, very at least to get in. It comes down to, I played pretty well, lost a few pieces up to this point, namely a Channel Landorus. But I had taken out his Iron Crown at this point. His Quaquaval was still alive. It had a +1 speed boost from Aqua Step after I just killed his Iron Crown. And I'm like, okay, so there are a few things I can do here. Because, well, he's got 2 down and I got 2 down. What I need to do is I need to bring in my Iron Valley, because my Iron Valley is the only one that speeds this thing anything as a Moxie boost. I don't want this thing to destroy my team. So I knew this was the one time I had to bring Iron Valley in. I'd go for Moonblast. He switches out. Fair play on his part. I take on the Messer with 2 Moonblast. Next comes in the Vikavolt. Now, here's the thing with Vikavolt. Vikavolt is not that fast, but it is surprisingly a little strong, and it's also kind of bulky on the special side, but and I would know, I had the fight with Vikavolt in ODL, and it lived my Pyroar Flamethrower. I was actually shocked. And I should have known this thing was going to take an Aura Sphere to the face. But I also figured that he was going to tear Steel in front of me to Flash Cannon me to no return. What I wasn't expecting was him to prep his Vikavolt specifically to take on Talonflame. And he tears Electric, which is not great. And because I'm not running physical, I can't just free Spirit Break him to giving him a special attack drop. So his Vikavolt picks up 2 kills. And my playoff hopes are toast. Because now it's a 2v2 at this point. There's not a thing I can do. Greninja was my best bet. I could have brought in Greninja on a Vikavolt, because Specs Ice Beam might have killed. I don't know the exact calc. But it would have been my best bet of winning. That is for sure. And getting a freeze on Quaquaval. Because Ice Beam Specs 2-shots it. Unless that thing was Assault Vest, which it very well could have been. Because, well, was it? I actually don't know. Because my Bubby's Terror Blast did a good chunk to it, so I don't think it was AV at all. But speaking of Bubby, I should have Giga Drained again after Quavel came in, just so I could keep myself alive against his Aqua Steps. And I just didn't do that. I mean, at that point, I could have made playoffs anyway. At that point, I kind of just gave him the game because there was nothing I could have done. There was nothing I could have done there to save me. But whatever can you do? Whatever can you do? But I will say this, though. I will say this. And then no matter what happens, you all know that even though I didn't make playoffs, I still feel pretty good about my abilities to hang 10 with some big competitors. Despite the losses, I learned a lot. And now, thanks to Kais, Crep, Mitch, Oscar, and all of them, I got some new knowledge I can work with. And I expect you all to see me in my next season, which honestly is starting way earlier than I thought it was going to. You see, our boy Needle started his own league. And as of recording this, drafting's done, Grace is done, and the schedule has already been released. I'll see you all for the draft analysis. So, if you're looking forward to the next season, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and turn on bell notifications. Later tonight, if you're watching this on the day it comes out, I will be streaming. I will be on a live stream with our boy Twisted Games, who is in ODL Season 3, so you guys might not know him. But if you are familiar with him, then make sure you stop by. His link will be down in the description, as well as the Zack Attack Discord server in case that is something y'all are interested in. I will see y'all there. And I cannot wait for you guys to watch the draft party, as well as my draft analysis whenever it comes out. And now, I'll see y'all then. So, that's all I have for now. So, the next time, Pokemon fans! My name is Zack Attack. I'm going to the Pixel Elixirs. I hope you have a glorious day. And I will most certainly see you all on the flip side. Bish! Gotta catch them all!